Good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully, you've all had a chance to get some lunch during those last couple of sessions. And right now, I'm going to hand this over to Dave Fiske from Nerdio, who's going to talk about some EUC modernization with the Nerdio manager. So, Dave, take it away.
All right. Thanks, Sean. Hello, everybody. My name is Dave Fisk. I'm with Nerdio. I'm our lead EUC strategist or technology evangelist. I also am in tech marketing. I've been in the EUC space since before it was called EUC back in the 90s. Maybe it's called SBC or server-based computing, if all of you kind of remember that. So I've been in this game a long time. I've seen a lot of things. What I'm going to show you today is how Nerdio does things differently in order to modernize your journey into Windows 365, Azure Virtual Desktop, Intune, and all the fun stuff with that. So let's jump into the presentation, and then I've got some live demos that I'm going to be doing as well. So the VDI landscape has shifted. There's a lot of movement that we're seeing from legacy VDI vendors. It's not that their software is bad. It's that their licensing practices are getting out of hand. There's a lot of new things as well that people are taking a look at, want to take advantage of with cloud scaling, multi-cloud, global environments, all that other stuff that you don't have to spin up new resources in your data center, putting things out where they can be controlled in a security first world. So we know that's going on, and there's more than one just strategy for VDI. There's Windows 365, there's which is Cloud PC. There's Azure Virtual Desktop. There's so many other things out there. We're trying to understand or how to make you be able to use one platform for all of your environments to manage. So we look at it as an approach method. I'm not going to go through all of these. I believe we'll be sharing these slides out later, so I wanted to have them included in here. But we look at it from Nerdio can help you from day zero, from the assessment and planning, sizing, pricing. I'm going to walk you through a little bit of that. I'm going to walk you through the initial setup, show you a migration capability, and then how we can manage and optimize your images and your host pools, which is your collections of machines that are similar to each other on an automated process. So you don't have to do any of that work. Last week I was at an event and one guy told me he spends 8 hours every month, so one full day just doing patching on his images. I showed him how I do it on a weekly basis at 3 in the morning, and I don't do any work. It just automatically does it for me, and it does exactly the same thing that he was doing. So just showcasing how we can do things a little bit differently. Let's start off with the moving to the cloud. Right? It's kind of scary. You don't know. It's not a fixed cost. If you're unfamiliar with the licensing, Azure Virtual Desktop is included with most people's Microsoft licensing already, so you already have it. So it's a consumption model. You're paying for the compute and the resources inside of Azure or Azure Local or Azure Hybrid that Microsoft just released that I'm going to be talking about in a little bit. But Nerdio does have a modeler that helps you figure out how you can size your environment. You go ahead and you walk through how many users you have, the types of workloads they run, and then we'll give you recommendations on the types of VMs that you should be running and give you estimates on the pricing that will take you as well. So that's available on our website. You just go out to our TCO calculator on getnerdio.com and you can run that. It's totally free. You don't even have to log in. If you want to get all the details, we just have to have your email address and then it shows it to all you. But you can run all this included for free. So it's very slick. I'm going to show you how we do this as well with the product once you have it up and running. So that's that day 2 for making recommendations on what you're actually running inside of your environment. So what I'm going to showcase today is how we can build new desktops. We can transfer your user settings, your personalization. We can install and reconfigure applications automatically using scripting. You can manually do it. We have lots of different ways that we integrate as well with doing unified application management. And then we can also migrate some existing workloads today. So if you have persistent VDI that you're using today, we can take your legacy VDI persistent desktop and migrate that into Azure Virtual Desktop or Windows 365, all with a wizard that we have built into our solution. and I'll walk you through those steps right here. So it's very simple, as long as we have access to that image. So whether that image is running inside of Azure. If it's running inside of Azure today, we just need to point it at the resource group. If it's not there, you need to run some sort of Azure migrate tool that Microsoft has to get it up inside of Azure. And then we can take that image and we will uninstall the legacy tools that are on it, install the current tools, which is the AVD agent or Windows 365 capabilities. We'll inject those automatically into the machine, do the assignment, and away you go. So it's very slick. You choose either your personal host pool or Windows 365. It automatically discovers who was the user that was assigned to that machine. You select your policies. If you're using Intune, you can choose your Intune policies that you have set, or you can create new ones. You select your group for Windows 365 if it's going to Windows 365, and away you go. So it takes about an hour or so to do the migrate. We also announced a couple weeks ago that we have this VDI discovery tool. So what this is going to do is it will help you assess your current environment for its readiness to move into Azure Virtual Desktop or Windows 365. This is the QR code. It's in private preview today. So this will take you to a landing page where you can sign up, and then somebody will be reaching out to you in order to discover what's going on. And you don't have to be a Nerdio customer. In fact, this is for non-Nerdio customers in order to understand that, or even Nerdio customers who have different environments that they want to figure out how to move into. So let's move on into how do we manage all of these different things? And that's where Nerdio comes into play as we orchestrate. We're an orchestration platform. We are not a VDI platform. We're an orchestration platform that helps you get to your VDI or Azure Virtual Desktop, your Windows 365. We helps you manage that. So we manage that by managing Intune. We're managing unified application management, managing your host pools, and all these other different things. I'm actually going to walk through how simple it is to create an image and how to update a host pool during my live demo here in just a few minutes. So let's get into a couple things that I want to cover quick. If you're an iGel customer, we just announced that we will be at iGel Now and Next, that we have integration with the iGel platform. So we now have the ability to do, the end user will sign into an iGel device. UMS will reach out to Nerdio, discover if they have any Windows 365 or Azure AVD resources that they have assigned to them. If they do, we will talk back to the UMS, and the UMS will understand what policies or profiles it needs to push down to that endpoint device. Very slick. We also announced that we have the ability to.
This isn't.
We also have the ability to do that with. I didn't cut out a couple slides. Nerdio and Nutanix. So we announced this at Nutanix.next. Nutanix will also be at NerdioCon next week, which is our event. We have the ability to do now Azure Virtual Desktops locally. So you don't have to have Azure local. You can be running Nutanix. And with Nutanix and Nerdio, we have the ability to orchestrate the building up of VMs inside of your Nutanix infrastructure. It's very detailed or it's very, very simple on how it works. It just talks right into the Nutanix Cloud Platform, into Prism, and does all the orchestration from there. So like I said, we're an orchestration platform. So that's being announced, or it's actually now available, but we're announcing it with Tarkin Manor on stage next week at our event. And I wanted to get to one last thing on that before the demo. And if you're going to NerdioCon, I'd love to see. Let me know if in the chat if you're going to. Will this work with machines deployed with MCS? Yes. Will it work with PVS? Yes. Does it work with instant clones? Yes. So it works with all of those. You just need to get that image up into Azure. We've tested all of those. So if you're not familiar with NerdioCon is it's an event like World of EUC or any of the other vendor events that focuses on a specific technology. We've got a lot of partners that are going to be there with us on stage, as well as at our vendor hall. We've got 700 or so attendees that are going to be there. We're going to be doing a lot of announcements. So watch the news for different things that we're going to be announcing with Scott Manchester on stage. Scott Manchester is now at Nerdio. Christian Brinkhoff, he's now at Nerdio. He'll be doing some announcements as well. So stay tuned for all of that. So let's get into the live demo. Let me see, is there any questions really quick? Okay, how is data secured for migration? If not in OneDrive. So I can get to that, Norman, in a second. All right, cool. Okay, so I wanted to jump into just image management. So how easy it is to create an image. If you're going through Azure to create an image, that's about 55 clicks in order to do what I'm going to do right here. So I'm just going to say World of EUC Live, and I'm going to pick an image from Microsoft, or I could pick one of my own. So I'm going to pick Azure Virtual Desktop Multi-Session. I'm just going to pick the simple stuff here, but I'm going to choose the premium storage. I'm going to not join it to Azure Active Directory because you should never, in my opinion, join an image to Azure Active Directory or to Active Directory, not Azure Active Directory. Run sysprep. You can run it in you can choose the mode. Microsoft recommends system. You can do time zone redirection, all these different things. You can install applications into this. So I could say, hey, I want to make sure that I have Chrome installed on here. It will go out and I've got to uncheck that one. So I can have my image plus an application. So I can go ahead and I can find Chrome. What this is using is using Winget. So I can use that. I can also install things from other solutions like Liquidware, or we work with app volumes from Omnissa or from Intune, for MSI XApp attached, whatever it is that you want to do. You can do all those. And then I can go ahead and just click OK. So what I just did takes 55 clicks inside of Azure. Of course, I picked something that didn't work. All right. So anyway, we'll just not do that app there. And I'll hit on OK. And it says this may take up to an hour. It's actually about 25 minutes. So I'll walk you through the process of what it does. So here in a second, you'll see I've got a scheduled task that's running, and it's going to go ahead and start creating that image for me. I'm going to look at one of my, there it is. Okay. So now it's creating my image, World of EUC Live. I can go ahead and I can look at all of the information that's going on in real time, watching the VM creation. And then while we're doing that, I can actually just show you one that I did last week. So here's the whole process of how it all works. So it goes through, it does the snapshotting, it runs sysprep, it creates the image, it seals it, and makes sure it's available and publishes it into the Azure library. So now I can publish it out to my resources. So I can pick any one of these. And I can say, hey, I want to create a new work group, World of EUC, and I want to go ahead and choose the location, and I want to hit OK. And I want to have, this will take what, 10 seconds or so. And then I can go ahead and I can create my host pool, which is a collection of machines, and World of EUC, and I can pick my image, pick how Active Directory is working or not, if I'm using Entra only, the desktop experience, and then I go ahead here and World of EUC. You see, I know I only got like 3 minutes left until I'm done. So I can pick my images. So I'm going to pick my World of EUC image that I created last week. And then I can assign it to users. So I can say test, and it's going to find a couple of test users that I have. I can assign it to groups. Click OK. And now it's going to create my host pool with all this information set inside of there. Is this the equivalent of Nerdio building an AWS cloud stack to do all the steps for? Yes. Can Nerdio reclaim over-allocated storage disks in Azure Virtual Desktops, persistent VMs at 500 watt? Yeah, yes. It can do all of those. So we can do disk resizing very simply. I'll actually show you how that works. So here's where I got this. And as soon as I click on Go, it's going to start creating a VM for me. So while I'll try to answer one of those questions here, so how to do like a resize, I've got my images here. I can go ahead and I can just click on resize image, and I can reclaim whatever size that I need to do. So I can redo all of those very, very easily. Just takes a matter of a few minutes to have it up and running. And I am at time, Sean. I didn't get to even half the stuff I wanted to show.
Yeah, unfortunately, because this is actually really interesting. And We'll have to have you back for more, Dave.
Absolutely. Nerdio
Well,
it's got so many things it can do, including like real-time insights, where I can go in, I can dig in on this, and it does this agentless. So I can see what's going on in my hosts, my users, what they're running, the applications that are hurting me, all in near real time. Not real time, but near real time because it's agentless.
nice. So with that, NerdioCon's coming up in like next week.
Starts on May the 4th, so it's a Star
So
Wars theme.
make sure you grab your X-Wings and fly out there. Um, yeah, so Dave, thank you. Thank you for this. And I wish we had more time to dive into this because this is extremely interesting. If anybody had any questions that didn't get answered, stop by the Nerdio vendor booth. And not only, say thank you for sponsoring, but ask your questions, get as much information as you can, because this is a uh, really cool solution. So with that, we have another round of sessions starting up here in a minute. So thank you everybody for attending and see you at the next session. And Dave, thank you again.
Thank you.